Hey, you. Yeah, you. Here's an idea. Tell me what you think about it. Action scenes. I mean, come on, who doesn't like that? You're watching a movie and then shit hits the fan, your blood is pumping faster and anything can happen. The protagonist punching his way through a bunch of henchmen, a shootout between enemies, a car chase, a battle in the skies or space. Like, there's so many ways in which the action genre shines on the screen. It's one of the reasons why it's the most profitable thing in Hollywood nowadays. And personally, as much as we might be oversaturated with action movies, I gotta say that when that specific movie or TV show appears and delivers a well done, well choreographed, well directed action scene, man, it feels like motherfucking Christmas. So with that said, and 2021 long behind us, I thought it would be cool to look back and rank some of my favorite action scenes of the past year. To be more specific, a top 10. Now, as always with these kinds of things, a fair warning. This list is composed not of opinions, but objective facts. And if you disagree with it in any way, shape or form, you are wrong, you should feel bad about it, and you should definitely interpret this video as a personal attack. Now that we got this out of the way, let's jump right into it, shall we?
Neo, get on!
Okay, to start, let me be clear. It's not the best action scene ever, yes, and it doesn't hold a candle to the rest of the Matrix trilogy, but I still think it's a decent, fun scene. You have this dark lighting over the entire city, just so you can identify these zombie bots, and I like the craziness of them having to escape the streets while they go full berserk on them. Neo using his powers to push the zombies while the rest of the team shoots them away, and the moment that actually made me put this scene on this list, when the bots start suicide bombing themselves. I mean, come on, even if you don't like this scene, you gotta admit this was a cool idea. There's a bit too much slow-mo at times, and yeah, there isn't much else to say about this one. This scene is a bit of a filler, just so I could actually make this a top 10. I don't exactly love it, but I still like it. It's easily the best action in the entire movie. Nobody is a movie that really flew under my radar back in 2021. I heard decent things about it, but it wasn't until a few months ago where I finally gave it a chance. And man, did I have a blast. This movie feels like an actioner spoof. It knows exactly what it is, and it just does it so well. I expect most people to watch this and put the bus fight as their favorite, and I wouldn't exactly disagree. That fight is fucking amazing. It's almost a catharsis to the main character and the audience as well. It's gritty as hell, and the fact that the protagonist gets his ass kicked out of the bus and goes back there to finish his job.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
But I would be lying if I said my favorite didn't end up being the final shootout at the factory. What captivates me most about that sequence is just how bonkers it is. It embraces the ridiculousness of the whole movie and cranks it up to 11, spiced up with a little bit of Home Alone for good taste. It's so cool how we see the three main characters kicking ass in different ways. While Bob Odenkirk is doing his best John Wick impression, Christopher Lloyd, which by the way, happy to see him back on the big screen, is blasting henchmen left and right and being corny as fuck, while RZA is just taking no prisoners with his rifle and gets what is for me the best kill of the movie. As I said, it's just so over the top and stupid in the best ways, like the wire trap that RZA kicks one dude, says one incredibly cheesy line, and that becomes a transition to Lloyd.
This is your captain speaking. Prepare for takeoff.
Like, this is the kind of shit that butters my muffin, and that final kill with the bomb and the bulletproof glass? Ooh, I mean, come on man, you got to be a mad lad to make this shit up. I gotta give praise to the cast, who executed this scene with the perfect balance of cartoonish and seriousness, but obviously to the writers and director themselves, who just nailed it. Looking for a mean, lean, old school actioner? Then definitely check this movie out. Now, Arcane is a show that has a ridiculous amount of good action scenes. I could easily put any of them in this list, and if I'm looking at the popular consensus, the fight between Echo and Jinx is probably the most memorable one. But if I'm talking about the action itself, I gotta say the fight against the champ tanks takes the spot easily. The sequence is basically a mix between the story using the full potential of its two protagonists, flawless animation and brilliant choreography. And holy shit is the result just pure eyegasm. The stylish choices of doing this Mortal Kombat-esque bone-breaking to the way they keep the action crisp and involving. I am very curious to know how long it took for them to animate this scene. And also, it's so cool to see how this sequence keeps escalating. You see Geass powering up his hammer more and more and using every trick in his arsenal to wipe the floor, just as Vi is going full boxing mode on those champ tank asses. And when I thought we hit the climax, Jace's hammer becomes a fucking laser cannon? I get that for League of Legends fans, they might have already seen this coming, but for a newcomer like me, that was stupidly awesome. And what's even greater is how the scene ends with tragedy as Jace, lost in the moment, kills a bystander and the music completely stops. It's a somber way to finish the action and connect to the dramatic elements the next episode starts with. All in all, it's just badass, well-crafted action. In my humble opinion, The Expanse is a ridiculously underrated show. I still plan on making a separate video about it, but for now, I want to focus on the theme at hand. The show also has a plethora of action moments to pull from, both from seasons 5 and 6. And this is another case where I'm pretty sure the fans would pick other scenes, but my heart has stayed with Rocinante vs Maya for one particular reason. It does so much with so little. This sequence is the proof that with intelligent and dynamic direction, you can make any, absolutely any action scene shine. Just as an example, here's how it all plays out. Holden and his crew realize there's a ship from the enemy nearby. They engage it, the enemy fires torpedoes, they destroy the torpedoes and shoot down their engines, effectively winning the battle. Sounds simple, right? But this moment has so many brilliant decisions when it comes to direction, from the camera angles and especially the precise cuts, that just gets your blood pumping from beginning to end, even if it's just for 2.5 minutes of action. I can never forget the way one shot follows the POV of one of the torpedoes, and you see them shoot down 2 by the side right as you hear them blow up, and I was like, that is freaking awesome, god damn it. The sound editing and the score also help elevate and keep the tension going, and it's just a mixture of great production and especially amazing directing that creates this cool, tense sequence. Please, please, please check out The Expanse if you're a sci-fi fan, or if you're craving for more shows with big and expansive universes like Game of Thrones for example. The show just ended and really deserves more support. Now for the next few positions, we're having some Marvel galore, because like it or not, they did have the bigger chunk of action scenes in 2021. Starting with... So this scene... Wait, what? Whoa, hold on. Why is everyone angry? Wait, hold on. Whoa, fuck! Okay, I get it. How dare I put this scene, the most iconic moment in a comic book movie in 2021, in just number 6. I get it. But hear me out on this one. I love this scene. Really, I do. I mean, come on. You all saw how much I praised the other ones in this list, and this moment is above them. Seeing the 3 Spider-Man fighting together against 3 iconic villains from the franchise, it's awesome, it is fucking awesome, and it does hold some weight here. But when I take off the fanboy glasses and watch the sequence as it is, it's cool, it's awesome, but there are better ones.
Well, why are you boring me? I'm right.
No, really, come on, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just that this entire sequence is basically them running around trying to figure out a way to get the serums to heal each villain. And it's well executed, I'm not gonna deny. It's a great moment to see them fooling around against each one of the villains and then screw up when they try to team up. So then they try to get their shit together and then they jump around once more, now in synchrony, and start to get an upper hand against the villains. Like, there's a lot of good stuff going on here. There's not much I can say about this moment that others haven't already said. It is nostalgia bait, but it's done so well, so tactfully, and most of all, it's just a fun, joyful scene. The only reason it's not higher on my list is because of the idea itself, the scene, how it progresses, and how it's executed. As I said, it's good. I think John Watts and the writers did a great job here. But it boils down to me just liking these next ones more for different reasons. Sorry about that. Anyways, let's talk number 5. I think people forgot how badass this scene is. There's such a sense of disorientation in this sequence, but it makes complete sense. Kari Skogland, the director of the show, managed to execute this one with such a steady hand. The whole scene uses a shaky camera style, but unlike many action scenes out there, this one feels like it has a purpose and you're never lost, even when the editing is cutting back and forth. It's all made to heighten that feeling like you were there with Sam, that you were flying together with the Falcon. And talking about him, it is freaking amazing how this entire set piece just shows off his abilities and versatility as a hero. From the way he uses his gadgets to quickly react and shoot down enemies, to him using his thruster in so many different ways, both to fly and to engage in fistfights, this show starts by establishing Sam right out of the gate as a worthy successor of Captain America. Also, the way everything happens, a lot of people complain nowadays about the structure of action scenes, the way they always play out the same. Protagonist has an objective, several obstacles keep jumping on their way, there's a time limit for them to achieve their goal, and they succeed at the very last moment. And I don't disagree with this assessment, but this whole sequence is proof that when you have a decent idea but an amazing and smart execution, the scene can fall into this generic pattern and still feel exciting all the way through. The Falcon keeps getting stopped at every moment, but the directing keeps the energy high. As I mentioned before, he reacts fast and just keeps the ball rolling. You're never bored or rolling your eyes, you're clenching and waiting to see how it's all gonna pan out. It's such a brilliant action scene that outshone all the other sequences in this show. Heck, even the show itself felt like it struggled to live up to this amazing opening. And that for me is a testament to how awesome this was.
Come on! Come on! We're out of regular arrows.
What do you mean? Oh my god, trick arrows?
Wanna know what really gets me into this entire sequence? Is that it's fun. Pure, unbridled fun. And every creative and technical decision in the scene is made to amplify that. You start coming out from an awesome moment as Kate and especially Clint kick ass and escape the tracksuit mafia's compound. Right from the get-go, we are treated to an amazing long take as they run away from the tracksuits, bullets flying on their car as they get their shit together and have to defend themselves. Just to start, there are so many one-take sequences, especially nowadays, that as much as they feel crazy and must have been insanely hard to pull off, they feel mechanical, like it's being done just to show off instead of actually belonging into the moment. And that is not the case here, because the camera does a 360 almost twice, and every time it feels like a part of the scene, like you were there with them and the spinning frame is a way to add chaos to the situation. Like for example, there's a moment when Clint takes a hard turn to the left and the camera follows his turn like a natural reaction, or when Kate puts her head outside, pulls the arrow, and the camera follows her motion. It's just organic and so well executed. I love this moment, and in my opinion, it's one of the best directed sequences in the entirety of the MCU. And yes, I'm including the movies here. But that's not all, because then we're into the trick arrow territory. As Barton is trying his best to guide her through them, she's shooting without any idea what's gonna come next, and in this way, the scene becomes unpredictable, and you're just in for the ride, literally. It's a joy to see her shoot arrows with all these weird effects, like the Play-Doh one, the plunger arrow that's basically a Chekhov's gun, and the freaking wire arrow that pops in at the perfect time. This sequence has such an amazing pacing and energy. It never lets up, and even in mundane moments, it finds a way to make it cool, like the car running over the Santa thing, and that pops back and the score just jumps with it. Fun, as I said, it's fun for you to watch, and you can clearly see the directors are having fun with this as well. And to top it all off, as they're stopped by the traffic at the bridge, the directors come at you and ask, "Do you think you saw everything?" Then take this and execute a moment that, in all honesty, if it played in a packed theater at premiere day, I'm pretty sure the entire room would have gone fucking wild. And for a good reason, I audibly chugged when that pimp shot hit Kate Zero and fell down like a giant missile. It's fun. Again, I know it's repetitive, I understand that, but there's no better word for me to describe this set piece. It knows what it is, it reminds me of a Shane Black action movie at times, and it's a joy from top to bottom. I mean, even as it ends, we're treated to one of the best jokes in the entire show. Like, yeah, that's why it's this high on my list. I smile every time I watch it, and hopefully, we get more of these kinds of action in the MCU. Shang-Chi is probably the biggest surprise of the year. There wasn't much hype leading into it. Some industry folks were predicting it would actually flop on the box office. So the movie came out and proved everyone wrong. Not only it did great in theaters, but it was just one heck of a good time. And that is thanks to the amazing execution not only of the characters, but the plot and especially the action. It was refreshing to see a Marvel movie stick close to the characters' roots and fill it with a lot of martial arts, for the most part at least. I freaking love the fight scene at the bus. It's kind of the poster child of the movie at this point, and I imagine a lot of people prefer that scene as well. But when it comes to personal preference, I give a slight, very slight edge to the battle at the skyscraper for one simple reason. I'm a sucker for martial arts movies, and that scene sticks a little bit closer to their spirit. The execution, the tension, the camera work, the practical stunts, it all makes it feel more grounded than the bus fight, for example, which again, I fucking love it, but between the crazy moments and CGI, it is a bit more fantastical, so to say. And what gets me in this scene is the choreography, the lunacy in some moments that you would frankly see in a Jackie Chan movie, like that moment when Shun jumps on the scaffolding and he just rises up and hits two of the ninjas. Like, that is my jam, dude. And in that tight space, the situation gets crazier by the minute. Shun gets knocked down a few levels, Katie is about to fall off to her death, and he has to recover and fight all those ninjas. It's the kind of crazy stakes that I love to see in a film like this. And going from her being rescued by a thread to Shun and his sister finally fighting those ninjas off, we're still not done because suddenly the death dealer shows up and steals the pendant. Shun races to get to him and another amazing fight happens, this time with a completely different execution than before, the camera spinning around the two as they trade blows. And it just goes back to what I said before, it's choreography and cinematography just working together to create this climactic moment. No stupid million cuts to hide the action, you see them throw and receive every single punch, like it should be. Closing with the villain showing up in grand style. From beginning to end, this sequence is just a blast. There's a reason why the one universal praise this movie got were the action scenes. And that's because they're so good. An action scene that has little of action. Is it still an action scene? This is the question that this sequence poses. But the way Denis Villeneuve approaches this moment is so engaging and intelligent that makes me consider the sandworm attack an action scene. Not only one of the best, but also probably the most cinematic sequence of the year. The scene starts slow, with both the characters and the audience getting to know what a crawler is and how spice mining works. Once you fully understand this little piece of world building, the whole situation starts to slowly derail. And it's awesome that, just like the audience, Duke Leto knows shit's hit the fan, so it doesn't take too long for him to act, starting with this amazing moment as the ornithopters dive down and rush to rescue the workers. What follows is a pressure cooker, a nuclear reactor of a scene that is gradually on the verge of exploding. And I gotta shower everyone praises for their immaculate work. Starting with Joe Walker, the Oscar-winning editor by the way, because he could have easily milked the tension by going for fast cuts, but he didn't. He keeps a steady pace that gives this sequence a flow, never betraying the scope that Denis Villeneuve and Greg Fraser have established for this universe, something that is built up by their amazing shots and camera work. Also, Hans Zimmer's incredible score, keeping up with the energy of the scene as it gets worse and worse by the minute. This is a moment that I imagine not many people might rank it this high. But for me, this movie has an incredible sense of scale, and one of its main themes is about selling you into how brutal and dangerous the world of Arrakis is. And there's no better way to do that than showing its greatest threat in an incredible moment like this one. What makes this sequence for me jump from great to utter brilliant are the little details. The freakish way the sand vibrates as the worm is about to close in, the huge explosion of sand right in front of Paul and Gurney, easily showing how big is the sandworm they are struggling to run away from. The prayer that Liet Kynes makes when it swallows the crawler. Another bit of world building that just shows you how the Fremen sees these titanic beasts. I mean heck, even Zimmer's score in this moment goes from tension to a complete sense of awe, as he adds little details in the music like this small thud that you hear. This is pure fucking filmmaking at its highest level. A proof that with a well-realized world, stunning direction and amazing production to hold everything together, you can craft a sequence that is not fast-paced, not filled with crazy shenanigans, yet can still leave you on the edge of your seat for the entirety of it, like a true action scene does. I cannot sing enough praises for this movie, and for this scene in particular. But there is one movie. One that managed to rank higher. One that, for all I said about Dune, shows that a classic action scene can still be creative, blood pumping, and batshit insane in the best possible ways. Lord help me, because I really do not want to lose my composure when talking about number one. And holy moly, what a number one. Where do I start with this? This entire sequence from start to finish throws you a new wrench, a new twist every 30 seconds to a minute. You're never bored watching it, it keeps you on your toes, and I'll be damned, it had me genuinely fearing for Bond's life, even though I knew he was gonna survive. But let's begin by the setup. We start by him finally visiting Vesper's grave. This moment is so beautiful, I think everyone loves Casino Royale and their chemistry was a big part of it. As much as Bond has moved over from her to Madeleine, it still manages to tug in your heartstrings. It's all very subtle but just a beautiful little scene. And it drops your guard completely, because as you're about to properly piece together what the Spectre card means, this movie comes out and just scares the shit out of you. Okay, now for real, sorry about that. I just wanted to simulate the feeling when I was in the theater, watching this for the first time. But the crazy part is that it works. It kicks your brain into overdrive because now Bond was caught by surprise and so are you. His hearing is going all Private Ryan and suddenly he has to act. Then comes obstacle number one, the bridge moment. That is such a brilliantly unorthodox claustrophobic set piece. Because he's outside, yet he's stuck in this small tight bridge, being chased by a car and motherfucking machine guns. He narrowly dodges using this big chunk of rock on the ground, a moment that they should not have spoiled in the trailers. And then there's the other guy showing up with the motorcycle. They're gonna come for him again, and Bond takes a risky jump. And he screws up the landing, yet he keeps going. There's somewhere he needs to be. This scene hasn't stopped, and buckle up because you're gonna hear me say this a lot. Another thing I love about this entire sequence is how every time there's action, it just happens in the most brutal, hardcore way. The motorcycle dude pops in the midst of the ruins. Well, here's Bond fucking tackling him to the ground. Bond needs to get to Madeleine. Here's a shot that is uncut, so it's definitely a human being doing this badass stunt just because they can. And it makes you in the theater go. Every moment has something cool or made for maximum impact. Even the way Bond angrily drops the motorcycle once he arrives and walks inside the building has a swagger to it. You then have this short scene where he bursts out on Madeleine, and it doesn't take long for them to run away from there. By the way, it's funny to see that even while Bond is pissed off, he still opens the door for her like a real gentleman. Love to see that. But just as you think it's about to cool down, we switch gears. Now we're in a car chase. And always trying to not make it boring, we cut between the pursuit itself and the couple arguing in the car. Her phone rings, it's Blofeld, now Bond is even more pissed off, and the random kid just got threatened by Spectre to release his cattle. Things are getting hectic and they might be cornering Bond. Then, we have this short moment. You know what? Hi, Listen guys, I just cannot talk about this scene without showing my reaction and just guiding you all through it, because I want you all to understand where I'm coming from and why I think we're about to see something genius. Let's do this. So here's what's gonna happen. Bond is being pursued by one car, and then he's gonna be cornered by another one, so he's gonna release the explosive spikes. This moment is already cool because we're seeing an old-time gadget from the franchise coming back, and it's so cool, it's so well done. The sound design in this entire sequence is flawless. Every shot and explosion just packs a fucking punch. He turns away, and then we have this fucking shot. God damn it. You know what? I'm just gonna let it play. So, I struggle to put into words how much I love this moment, because this is how you make the perfect action. You build up, you establish certain expectations, and then when the time comes, you grab every single player in the production, the stunt team, the sound, the music, the cinematography, and have them all working together to create this mind-boggling moment. There's so much great shit going on here. You have the payoff from the Cradle situation before, making you go, oh shit, as the road's blocked. But then the movie twists that into a moment of glory, as Bond's theme finally blasts over the speakers, and at the same time you see the Aston Martin dodging on this lower side of the frame, while you see the car getting screwed up by the explosive spikes and just fucking away from frame on the upper side. It's controlled chaos that is just action perfection. Like, as I said, I struggle to describe how much this moment is insane. Every single time I watch it, I cannot avoid clenching my fists and going, fuck yeah, just fuck yeah. And you know what's crazier? Is that we're not even done with this scene yet. Because Bond is driving, you think he's done with the enemies, and then
I'd rather die than you think
a crash. And another brilliant decision by Cary Fukunaga, as instead of just cutting back to Bond being cornered by the bad guys, he just stays with the camera there as the bells ring. It's such a simple decision but speaks volumes. You're getting a breather from all the crazy action, but the bells add so much weight to it. You just stay there, eyes completely glued to the screen. And switching gears once again, it's now just Bond, immovable, angry as shit as they shoot the heck out of his car. And then the Cyclops dude comes trying to break his glass. An incredibly tense scene happens as Madeleine cries, begs him to do something, and every shot is just inching closer and closer to destroy the glass. When finally, he says, okay, presses a button, the machine guns come out, the music signals, it's about to go off. And in another scene that we should not have been spoiled by the trailers, James Bond gives back tenfold and just obliterates everyone, as Hans Zimmer's remix on the classic Bond theme is firing off, and I'm like, yes, that is the shit, that is real fucking action cinema, my friends. At last, he escapes, the whole sequence comes to an end, and we have our opening titles. You may have 1,000 issues with this movie. I get some of them. But I swear to God, I cannot see how someone who loves action movies can watch this scene and not go completely bananas over it. It is one of the greatest set pieces in the Bond franchise, and the best action scene in 2021 for me, in a landslide. I sincerely hope more studios and filmmakers take notes and have the balls to go as hard on their action as this one goes. That is all. Well, my friends, that is it. That was my top 10. I'm gonna be honest, this video was hard, probably my toughest one so far. But I still had a lot of fun rewatching these scenes and making it. But what about you? Did you enjoy it? Do you agree with the ranking? Disagree? As always, let me know in the comments and see you next time.